In the stillness of the evening, after the children have long left the nest and the house becomes quiet, you often find yourself facing a profound truth. Most of your life is now behind you. This is not a tragedy, but a sacred moment. A moment signaling the closing of one chapter and the beginning of another. However, along with this realization comes something sharper, almost painful. You begin to see how much of your life has been given away, how many pieces of your soul you handed over to others with the hope that they would care for them gently, and how often they didn't. As you age, not only does your body weaken, but so does your spirit. The memories, truths, scars, and unmet desires you carry now are parts of you that should never be shared carelessly. Because if you do, you not only lose trust, you lose yourself. The issue is not bitterness or holding grudges, but wisdom. The issue is understanding, over many years of living, that not everyone deserves access to the core of your being. Over the years, I've spoken to many individuals, both men and women, who have entered their later years, and almost every time I hear the same regret. I wish I hadn't shared that. The truth is, what you share in your later years can either protect your dignity or shatter it. It can build your legacy, or it can sow confusion and pain. Let me tell you about a man I know. Let's call him James. He's 74 years old, a retired engineer, and a kind man with deep, knowing eyes who's seen much in life. He lives alone in a small house filled with books and family photos. James tends to open up easily, not because he's naive, but because he's deep, even wise. However, he never understood that there are some things better left unsaid. He believed that sharing his pain with others would lighten his burden, and in many cases it did. But one day, he confided a very personal story to a new neighbor. Someone who seemed kind and understanding, someone who appeared to listen with empathy. A few weeks later, James's story, his personal pain, was used against him. It was distorted, ridiculed, and spread through their close-knit community like gossip. The person he trusted had turned his vulnerability into a weapon. James stopped going to the local coffee shop. He didn't smile as much anymore. And although he never said a word, I could see it in him. Part of his soul had died that day. You need to understand something profound here. People often assume that openness is synonymous with strength, and to some extent it is. Vulnerability can be a wonderful gift when given in the right context. But in old age, it's no longer about proving how open you can be. It's about discerning who has earned the right to see inside your soul. There are 5 things, 5 deeply personal areas in your life, that you should protect in your later years. Now, I'm not talking about hiding your true self or pretending to be someone you're not. I'm talking about protecting the parts of you that took a lifetime to build. You don't need validation from others for your story anymore. You don't need permission to feel what you feel. What you need is peace. And the way to achieve that peace is by becoming a careful gatekeeper of your truth. Your deepest regrets. Regrets are not simply acknowledgments of failure. They are emotional landmines. When you share them recklessly, you allow others to reshape your story, label you, define you by one moment of weakness. And here's the thing about people. They quickly remember your worst day and are slow to remember your best. Take James, for instance. He once shared with someone his regret for not standing up to his abusive father. From that moment on, that became the defining characteristic people saw in him. James, the man who lacked courage. But what they didn't know was that he had spent his entire life teaching young men to be brave, to speak up, to stand firm. That regret, that painful memory, was his legacy as a teacher. But when he shared it, it became his curse. Don't make that mistake. Let your regrets teach you, let them refine you, but don't offer them up like souvenirs. Let them live within you, where they can forge you into a stronger person, not where they can be used against you. Your financial situation. Whether you're wealthy or struggling, money has a way of distorting relationships. When people know exactly what you have, how much you've saved, what you own, what you plan to leave behind, you're no longer a person, but a resource, especially as you grow older. I've seen families torn apart over inheritance disputes, friends turning into opportunists, and trust shattered because of envy. If you want to help others, be generous. But don't feel obligated to open your financial books to everyone. That knowledge, when it falls into the wrong hands, becomes a weapon. Your pain. Yes, this might sound controversial. I'm not saying you should suffer in silence, but hear me out. Not everyone who listens truly cares, and not everyone who cares deserves to know your pain. Some people collect stories of sorrow, not to empathize, but to control or to elevate their own moral self-esteem. I met a woman, Sarah, who shared her story of grief after the tragic loss of her son in a support group. Within months, one of the members began telling her story at events, using it to garner sympathy, turning her private sorrow into a public parable. Her pain had become the currency of someone else. This is a form of theft, and it's something you must protect yourself from. Choose carefully who you share your pain with, and make sure it's someone who can bear it with compassion, not someone who will exploit it for personal gain. Your future plans. As you age, your dreams become fragile things. They're no longer grand ambitions, but quiet hopes. Travel, finish a book, reconcile with a long-lost friend or family member. When you share these plans with people who lack imagination or compassion, they might mock you, dismiss your dreams, or strip them of their meaning. I've seen older people give up their final dreams just because someone told them they were too old for things like that. Don't let anyone steal your last spark. Hold on tightly to your future, because it still matters. Your resentments. Resentment is like a fire that only burns brighter when you speak it. I've seen older men poison the remaining years of their lives by voicing every grievance, every slight. It consumes them. You might think that speaking your resentment will free you from it, but unless you're speaking to someone truly wise, someone who can hold your anger without judgment and not feed it, it will only deepen the wound. Resentment is a demon that wants to live, and by nurturing it with your words, you only give it strength. Instead, turn it into wisdom, into boundaries, into silence. That's where true power lies. Now you might ask, so what should I share? Share your love. Share your curiosity about the world. Share your humor, your stories, your music, your photos, your memories. Share the warmth that remains within you. Because those are the things that bring hope to others and in turn to yourself. But protect the rest, because you've earned the right to keep it. Old age is not about slow decline to irrelevance. It's about narrowing the focus, honing in on what truly matters. It's like a blade that's been sharpened over the years. You don't need the whole world to understand you. You just need a few good people. And even then, they don't need to know everything. Let them discover you piece by piece. Let them earn the right to access that. You're not a confessional booth. You're a temple. And temples don't open their doors to everyone. If you've reached that stage in life, if your hair has turned gray or your back hurts a little more than it used to, understand this. Your strength hasn't gone. It's just quieter now. But quieter doesn't mean weaker. In fact, the silent strength of a protected soul is one of the most formidable forces in the world. It says, I know who I am. I know what I've survived, and I choose what I share. Not because I'm hiding, but because I finally understand the value of my voice. If you've ever felt betrayed, If you've ever witnessed someone misuse something you confided in them, then you've learned this lesson. Let this reminder anchor you. Silence can be wisdom. You don't owe anyone your entire story, and what you choose to protect in your later years may be what saves your soul. So now I ask you, what will you protect? What parts of yourself have you easily given away? Think about it. And if this message resonates with you, share it. Not because I need views, but because someone out there, someone with graying hair and a sorrowful heart, needs to hear it. They need to be reminded that it's never too late to protect what's left of themselves. And if you're still young, if old age is still far away, listen. The habits you build now will shape who you become. Don't wait until you're wounded to start protecting yourself. Start today and build a life that ends in dignity, not regret, because we all have work to do.